appreciate your joining us, Professor Damodaran, taking the time off. My first question, and this is something everyone is asking. The Hindenburg research report says Adani is the biggest con in history. What do you think? You've gone and detailed it in a fantastic blog post. Now share your views with our viewers. Do you think that Adani is a con or not?
I think that's hyperbole. I mean, a con to me is something where there's no substance. A Ponzi scheme is a con. There's nothing there. The entire objective is to fool people, separate them from their money, and leave them poor. And I don't think Adani fits that description. I think it has too much substance as a company to be a con. And I think, in a sense, what Adani has done in the interests of preserving control has fed into the Hindenburg reports. Okay, so the reason people are willing to listen is because of some of the actions that Adani has taken, not so much because they wanted to con people, but because they were so interested in preserving control at the company. It's sometimes in their zeal to keep control at companies, I think family groups get a little carried away. They take actions that are not about ripping other people off, it's about preserving control. And when I look at Adani's actions, even if everything in the Hindenburg report is true, and it might not or might not be, it could still be contested, what I see is the picture of a company that is so focused on family group members keeping control that it's probably cut corners, taken decisions that are designed to advance it on that objective. But to call it a con, I think, it's hyperbole. So short sellers do it all the time. I'm not surprised the Hindenburg report does this, because I've seen short reports before. They have to catch your attention, and it did, right? And you see that headline, you say, oh, there must be something here that is essentially designed to rip off people, so let me go see what it is.
So the first answer to the FAQ, you're saying the Hindenburg report is hyperbole when it says Adani Group is a con job, but the group could have cut corners in your view. Let's turn to the second most frequently answered question, Professor Damodaran. The most serious allegation in that report was of stock manipulation, of using inter-party, inter-family transactions to perhaps make the company look more creditworthy, and importantly, to create a maze of shell companies controlled by family members and thereby, in a way, engaging possibly in round-tripping and a violation of rules. Do you believe that these allegations in the report are serious enough to merit a proper investigation?
See, I don't know. The web of shell companies, it's unlikely that the Hindenburg report made it out of thin air. Because this is, I mean, in fact, as I read the Hindenburg report, I went back and checked prior reports in the Indian press. Almost everything in that report is, in a sense, almost in the public domain. Nothing there was something people said, I'd never heard of that before. There are 6,300 companies in Mauritius. It's a company with $11.5 billion GDP. You're saying, what the heck are 6,300 companies doing in there? This is a place where Indian businesses go, and we can debate that this is moral or ethical, or the Indian government knows this, right? It's been trying to crack down on it. So is it possible that the Adani Group has 38 shell companies in Mauritius? Yes. That part of it. So even if that allegation is right, let's talk about the price manipulation part. This is the part that I don't get. This is not a small company. It's a company with small float, but it's a company whose market cap increased by $100 billion. To do that, you need a lot of trading. So what I was looking for in the report is show me the evidence of trading jumping tenfold. In the last 18 months, the price is going up. Maybe you have some evidence that shows me that the trading volume was 20 times higher than before. I didn't see that evidence. Almost all the evidence is about shell companies that are essentially Adani shells that hold shares in the company. Here's the part of the report that I'm willing to believe. That 75% threshold, that's a listing requirement to be I am willing to believe that Adani has played fast and loose with that rule. This is a control fixation. You know what? You can control a company with 70%. But somehow they feel the urge to almost have complete control of the company. So am I willing to believe that that part of the allegation is true, that they might have been at 76% and they used it, the shell companies started? Absolutely. That's not a price manipulation argument. That's a rule-breaking argument. We could talk about what the penalty for that should be. So it's a mix of serious stuff with not so serious stuff with, I know, hearsay is the best way I can describe some of the stuff. Somebody told the group that somebody had told them that there were crooked things going on. This could never be accepted in a court of law. But when you're a short seller, you can talk about guilt by association. Like, and you see that in the report, right? The brother, cousin, somebody else who's done something wrong, and the Adani group has connections to them. So by guilt by association, it must be the sins of the Adani company too. So as I read the report, there's a lot of bullet points there where I look and say, I'm not sure what that tells me about the company, and I'm not sure that that's uncommon, that is that uncommon with an Indian business to begin with. Now we can talk about whether that's good or bad, that so many Indian companies follow these practices. But I have a feeling that the Adani group has been caught in a web of their own making. That desire for control has led them to cut corners on things, and that's now going to come back. And it's already haunting them because a short seller has taken those things and said, this must mean, because the two biggest allegations to me were the price manipulation, which is serious, and the other is that they're manipulating the financials of the underlying companies, make the company look more, their earnings manipulation, that the revenues are being pumped up. And that part I find puzzling, because if they're manipulating earnings, they're doing an awfully bad job of it, because Adani companies are not profitable. Their margins are tiny, they're struggling to make money. So if you're manipulating earnings, I'd have expected you to do a much better job and report 10% margins, not 3.6% margins.